Welcome to the Bean Pot Debate. This is episode number 4. I'm your host, Tanner Bello, a site expert of Chowder and Champions, a fan-sided site. Alongside me today is Evan Cook, who is a contributor on our site.
What's going on?
And we're going to get right into it today. It's the day after the New England Patriots finished their regular season where they went 14-2 and were undefeated on the road. So our first topic today is basically going to be our thoughts on the season, the wrap-up of the season, and how individual players performed or exceeded our expectations. So, Evan, I want you to start off and give me some of your thoughts after the wrap-up of the season.
Wait, hold on 1 second, Tanner. I know we're live, but Drew, I'm doing a podcast. One time my brother was actually looking for me. Thoughts on the season. You went 8-0 on the road. Your 2 losses were against a team where, probably the worst team that you match up against, even though it was at home.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills, where Jacoby Brissett got the start with a broken thumb.
Yeah. Your third string rookie quarterback. Your two losses were against third string rookie quarterback that had a broken thumb, and your other was against possibly the team that you match up the worst against in the NFL. And even with that, you were after the bye, and your defense was not playing well. Right now, your defense is playing better than it has since. God, I don't remember. But it's been a while since your defense is playing this well.
Yep,
and your offense is cooking.
It's interesting to me. I mean, the defense is a big part of it. Halfway through the season, there's a lot of questions whether or not it was a good defense, even though they ranked towards the top half in the league. This last stretch of 6 or so games, ever since that Seattle game, really, they've been really impressive defensively. And you could compare them to the Super Bowl teams, earlier on in Tom Brady's career when they won it. You could compare it to that. I think it's a different team than the 2014 team that won the Super Bowl. But defensively, they're fantastic. And they're starting to make forced turnovers. Then they can shut down elite weapons. Malcolm Butler looks great. I think it's an interesting team to talk about, the New England Patriots. The undefeated record on the road is impressive. Those 2 losses at home were tough. But you look at guys like LeGarrette Blount on offense, who had a fantastic season. They brought a guy like Chris Hogan in, who was a new option for Brady. Martellus Bennett came in and just started clicking. You don't really see that happen in New England often, where they bring in an outside weapon and they have an immediate impact. And then you see Michael Floyd the last couple of weeks. When they brought him in, he had the DUI, and they brought him on, and they gave him a shot. And you saw him last week against Miami, and he looked fantastic. And he looked phenomenal. Made a key block that sprung Edelman loose for a 70-plus yard touchdown, and then he had a touchdown of his own.
That guy.
It's gonna be an interesting thing to see what they do with him in the playoffs, with Danny Amendola potentially coming back. So it'll be interesting to see. But this season, they kind of they had 4 games without Tom Brady, and you're looking at them. They're the 1 seed in the AFC. They're still better than everybody else, and it's a testament to how good Bill Belichick's system is. And I think it's incredible. You go 14-2, and Tom Brady was out for 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they have so many offensive weapons now. One name you didn't even mention was Malcolm Mitchell, a name that he's a rookie wide receiver who has actually started clicking with Brady. When was the last time we saw that in New England?
You haven't, actually. I don't think you have. I mean, they tried to do it with the Aaron Dobson, Kembrell Tompkins year. They tried to force it to them, but you can go down the list. I don't think there has been a rookie receiver that has clicked with Brady. Maybe, Gronkowski or Hernandez, their rookie year, but not to the extent that I think Mitchell is. Those are tight ends. They're a little bit different.
Oh, yeah, I know. Even with that, you have other 2 names you didn't even mention, Lewis and White, and they're much better running backs than LeGarrette Blount. Blount's just the guy that you put in the backfield when you're on the 2-yard line, and he'll give you a run. He'll push it in. I mean, I think he's more overrated than anything. But now you have a healthy Dion Lewis, and since Dion Lewis has been with the Patriots, if he plays that game, they haven't lost.
That's actually true.
Makes that offense so much better. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's another dynamic out at the backfield, catching the ball, and he can really make a cut and make people miss. But I don't think you should take away from LeGarrette Blount. I think he potentially is overrated. But what he had 18 rushing touchdowns this year.
He
That's
still had
most
18
and
rush. Yeah.
most
Yeah.
in the NFL. That's 15th most in NFL history. That's a Patriots single season record by a long shot at this point. I think what he did was impressive. But you're right. If you give him 3 shots down in the goal line, he's going to punch it in. He's a big guy. But I thought he was impressive this season, better than I anticipated. But going forward, I don't expect that out of LeGarrette Blount.
Same.
Yeah. We're going to move on to our next topic, and we actually know the potential playoff opponents for the New England Patriots. We don't know who we're specifically going to face, but we do know the names of the teams. The teams that we could potentially play are the Miami Dolphins, the Houston Texans, and the Oakland Raiders. Evan, I'm going to ask you, what team would you like to face, the team that's the easiest, and then I'm going to ask you, what team would you hate to face in that divisional series?
The bye week. That's the team I don't want to face.
The bye week?
You're rolling right now. Now you're gonna have a week around to sit about it. All 3 of those teams are absolutely garbage teams. Say what you want to look at it. Maybe I might want to go with the Miami Dolphins, and the only reason I'm saying that is because there's the outside shot that Ryan Tannehill could be playing, and he's a somewhat decent of a quarterback, and Ndamukong Suh might be the dirtiest player in the NFL. Lucky how not. He's not that good. Go back and look at the footage of the Michael Floyd touchdown. Did you see how great of a play Ndamukong Suh had on that?
I did not see that. I'd have to go back and watch it.
He slightly pushed his legs towards the end zone. Yeah, and he's the one that was trash talking that entire game. That team is an absolute joke. There's literally no team in that bunch that I trust whatsoever. Before the Derek Carr injury, obviously I would have said the Raiders because Derek Carr is a legit quarterback. But other than that, they don't have a quarterback now. Yeah, they do have offensive weapons, but they have no defense, and your quarterback is hurt. No shot they do anything. Any team that comes into Gillette Stadium is going to get their butt whooped.
I think it's interesting we talk about the Oakland Raiders that went from potentially being a 1 seed to potentially being a 2 seed, and then with Derek Carr out, they fell to the 5th seed. And they were a team that I was legitimately worried about in the AFC. I would have liked to see that in the AFC Championship game, but it's not going to happen. But I think Oakland's still to worry about. Latavius Murray is a good option on offense, but their defense isn't the greatest in the league. I think a team that you'd probably want to hate to face would be the Miami Dolphins, but like you said, that's whether or not Ryan Tannehill is able to go. If Ryan Tannehill can play, that's a team I would hate to play. But a team I would like to face is the Houston Texans. I think you could steamroll that team. They have by far, I think, Oakland has the worst QB situation out of all of them. I think Matt Moore is probably the best out of all 3 teams. But I think the Houston Texans would be the easiest opponent for the New England Patriots because I think they have a lack of offensive weapons. And I don't think their defense is that good. So that's a team I'd like to face. Miami is a team I'd be worried about, but that's if Ryan Tannehill is able to go. If Ryan Tannehill is not able to go, I think the Oakland Raiders are still the team that I'd be threatened to face.
And to be honest with you, I actually have a feeling we're going to end up facing the Texans. Miami's going to go into Pittsburgh. They're going to get steamrolled. And I texted it to you earlier. The game that might be the most intriguing this weekend might be the game that's on ESPN, the early slot on Wild Card Weekend on that Saturday. That 4:30 game between the Texans and the Raiders. That might be one of the better games just because it's going to be so bad.
Yeah, you might be right. We're going to move on to our next topic, talk about the MVP vote. With the season over, we can kind of decide and make our picks for who should be the MVP of the National Football League. You have guys like Tom Brady, who missed 4 games, but had an incredible season. You got Matt Ryan, who had an incredible case yesterday. Aaron Rodgers was another guy. Derek Carr has fallen off due to that injury. Then you got the 2 rookies down in Dallas, the Ezekiel Elliott or Dak Prescott. So out of those 4 potential candidates or 5 potential candidates, who do you think is going to win, or realistically, who do you want to win?
Well, obviously I want Brady to win it, but saying that he's not going to, just because he missed those 4 games. And and I know I can say that I'm a Patriots fan and that you're being a homer, but when your touchdown to interception ratio is 14-1, that's pretty damn good. But besides that, realistically, I think it's going to end up being Matt Ryan because if if he's not the starting quarterback of that team, where's the Atlanta Falcons?
That's a true point. I agree completely. The offensive line ahead of Matt Ryan has gotten better, and that's kind of what their issue's been the last couple of years. So they've been able to protect Matt Ryan, but you got to look at the receivers around him. He has Julio Jones, arguably the best receiver in football. But I think you can look at Aaron Rodgers. He was 4-6, I think, in the first 10 games of the season. He's come on hot as of late, and he's played pretty well, but I think that's going to be counted against him is that start to the season. I think the 4 games for Brady is going to be counted against him. I think Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott's been overrated. I think Matt Ryan's going to win the MVP. I think Brady, if I had to vote, I'd give it to Tom Brady just because he missed 4 games. He's 39 years old. You look at the new weapons that have come in around him. You look at the injuries to Rob Gronkowski, Danny Amendola, and he's been able to persevere and do it effectively with different receivers around him. And that's why he should win the MVP. It's because all the adversity he's faced this season, he's still had statistically, one of the best seasons ever quarterback. And I think that's impressive. And he almost threw for 30 touchdowns, and he still missed 4 games. I think the only thing with Matt Ryan is that he played the complete season. He was the best player on, I think, if you take him out of that, a bad team. I think without Matt Ryan, that team's nothing. I think Matt Ryan will win the MVP. I think Matt Stafford is like a dark horse candidate too, but
I'd say Derek Carr is.
Derek,
now,
yeah, Derek,
yeah. And now more and more I think about it, I feel like Derek Carr actually does have a pretty good shot, just because look where the Oakland Raiders would be if they had any of their backups starting. That team looked bad yesterday.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I agree. Derek Carr will probably get some votes, but I think that injury is just going to kind of put him out of the conversation. And I think with Matt Stafford, it's like, yeah, he's a dark horse candidate because he's been healthy. And if you do take him off that team, like who does he have on offense for weapons? Golden Tate. He doesn't have a running back. He doesn't have Calvin Johnson anymore. So you kind of look at what Matt Stafford has, the limited weapons, and he's still able to make the playoffs. I think that's impressive. But
right. Of the names that we've talked about, who do you think is 1 through 3?
1 through 3, like who's going to realistically get it?
1 obviously wins it. 2 is the runner-up, and then 3 is the third.
I think it's going to be Matt Ryan. I think it's going to be Tom Brady, and I think the third's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
I flipped Brady and Rodgers.
Yeah, I would. I was close to doing that too.
That team looked. That team in Green Bay looked bad. He's been on fire the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And the recency, based on the recency, I don't know what it's called. And I'm just like major, but the writers are going to look at how Rodgers has played the last couple of weeks, and that he's been a damn good quarterback.
He's been good. I think, when you look at the first couple of games, that's the only thing that might be held against him. But I think he's definitely up there in that conversation. But I think his offensive weapons are better than Brady's. He has Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams. He has a pretty good thing going on there, but he also didn't have a running back, essentially. So I think you could flip-flop any of those guys, but I think Matt Ryan's the clear favorite at this point just because of what he's been able to do with the team. Our last topic of discussion is the Boston Celtics and potential trade thoughts. So I don't know if you know this, but yesterday on Sunday, Anna Horford, Al Horford's sister, took to Twitter and said the Boston Celtics need to trade for a true center, basically saying that Al Horford's not a true center. He should be playing the power forward, which she's correct. So I ask you, do you think the Boston Celtics should go trade for a center? And if so, who should they go get? There's guys like Nerlens Noel out there, DeMarcus Cousins. There's
Yo, Tim, are you there?
yeah. Oh, it cut out?
Yeah. Wait, so what was the last part that you made?
So the Boston Celtics, Anna Horford. Did you hear that part?
Yeah, I get that part. It was right after you said DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, so like you got DeMarcus Cousins, Nerlens Noel, Serge Ibaka is another potential guy. So do you think the Boston Celtics should make a trade for a center, or do they need to go trade for a true center?
They need a center. That team, literally, the reason why they're so bad this year is because they can't rebound the ball. Go get a center. I don't like Boogie Cousins. I think he's just too much of a psycho. But and that's literally the only reason why I don't want him, because he's a psycho. I think he's a great player, but he's a psycho. I've always liked Nerlens Noel. I'd go get him.
I think Noel's a good option. I look at Serge Ibaka, and Orlando's only going to move him when they realistically know they're out, and that could be coming. So I like Serge Ibaka, but I like Nerlens Noel a lot. I'd love to get him in a trade. Paul George is reportedly out there. Obviously, he's not a center, but if you can tell me that you can get a Brooklyn pick and get Paul George in return, trade that Brooklyn pick for Paul George, I'd take that over a center. That you need a superstar in this league, and I'm not sure if Nerlens Noel gets you to that next level that you want to be at, but a guy like Paul George would. So I'd be more in favor of going like getting a Paul George, spending more and getting that kind of guy over getting a center. But they do need a center. They need rebounding. That's
They've
clear and
lost so many
simple.
games this year because of rebounding.
You look at Jared Sullinger. They let him go to Toronto, and obviously he hasn't played a game for them this year. He's been injured, but Jared Sullinger was a solid rebounder, and Al Horford, in theory, should rebound better than he is, but the issue is, I think it was last season, he decided to spread the floor out more. He takes more threes, so he hasn't really been underneath the basket to get those offensive boards. And it's kind of been disappointing, and I think his performance has been disappointing so far. But I think the loss of Jared Sullinger and that ability for him to play underneath the basket and get the boards, I think it's hurting them more than they would have liked to admit. And I know when they let Sullinger go, it was just one of those things that people were kind of done with his attitude, his inability to lose weight. But I think you're starting to feel that burn right now. And that's one thing Horford hasn't done well, is rebound the ball. Against, was it Cleveland? I think he had 1 or 2 rebounds. It's abysmal. And I don't think he's played up to his max contract so far. And I think they can bring in a true center to kind of take that pressure away from him. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I haven't been satisfied with Al Horford. Have you?
No.
He just hasn't played up to expectations, but maybe those expectations were unfair. He got a max contract, but he's not a superstar level. He's not even a star, I would say. I think he's an upper tier basketball player who can be an all-star. But he has like an identity issue. He played the first 6 seasons of his career. He's more of an inside scorer, and now he's a 3-point guy. And then you give him max money. It's kind of one of the things the Celtics were forced to do because they haven't been able to lure a star here. But it's one of those things that you look at now and you're kind of questioning whether or not that was the right move for them to make. And maybe it messed up their future stability as far as locking up Isaiah Thomas and then go get another star with that money. But I don't think you're going to be able to lure another star here in Boston. So as a free agent anyway, you'll get him through a trade, which is why you have to give up the Brooklyn picks. So that's it for Beanpot Debate. Evan, do you have any closing comments or anything?
No.
All right. Sounds good. Have a great week.